This is the story of a man who ran his organised crime network in Sweden like they do in the Sicilian Mafia, with an iron fist and well organised. He did not joke around. To give you an example, one of his leaked PGP messages revealed that he had said, "Brother, make sure those who have not done their duty are punished. We are an army, and in an army, the commander has to punish and reward his soldiers. Otherwise, there will never be discipline." Together with his network, he would go on to rule over the area and earn their money by selling narcotics. But then, he got into a relentless feud with someone he had known for a long time. Over the years, both men would become obsessed with eliminating each other, and in a conflict that would see countless victims, one of which an innocent 12-year-old, this is the story of Chihab Lamouri and his Varby network. Chihab Lamouri is a Swedish-Moroccan man who grew up in the Vårby area southwest of Stockholm in Sweden. From the 2010s onwards, he was deemed to be the leader of the Varby network. According to the police, about 15 to 20 people were a member of the network. Many, if not all of them, had previous run-ins with the police and were convicted for crimes such as theft, serious violent offences, and drug and weapon violations. The Varby network has had several good standings with other networks such as the Hagsatra network, Dalen network, and the Shotas. However, they also had a very big enemy, but we'll get to that later. As opposed to other Swedish networks that operate without a relatively clear structure or hierarchy, Chihab organised his group very well. According to the police, his network structure was similar to that of the US Mafia with a Sicilian background. At the top, there was one sole leader, Chihab. Directly under him were 4 people whom the police called captains. These were either relatives or people that Chihab deemed useful and trustworthy. Below them were the captains in the field who took care of stashes and weapons. Lastly, there were the soldiers, also known as the errand boys. These guys did all the dirty work. And an intriguing detail is that members of the network had to pay a monthly membership fee of 3,000 kroner, about 250 euros. This money was used for weaponry amongst other things. Despite being responsible for all the deals, Chihab never had any physical involvement with the weapons being bought, drugs being sold, or payments being received. He had organised that all to run through his lower ranks, keeping him safely at bay away from these prohibited items. Chihab also instilled in every one of his members that they had to keep a low profile because this would be beneficial for them in the long run. He was adamant in not grabbing the police's unwanted attention. But how do you keep a low profile if you're in the middle of a heated feud with one of your former friends? It is a recipe for a police investigation. This former friend of Chihab was called Maykil Yokhanna. Both men grew up in the same area. The two men got introduced to organised crime at a young age as it was becoming more prevalent in the neighbourhood. They got themselves involved in the drug trade and used Varby as their turf to sell on. What exactly caused them to be sworn enemies remains unclear. Police have always been uncertain about the start of the conflict, but describe it as a power struggle for turf in Varby. This struggle for power led to Maykil getting shot in a stairwell in 2011. After this incident, there seemed to be no turning back. Chihab wasn't going to let Maykil take his turf and vice versa. A battle spanning several years ensued. According to the police, Chihab forced Maykil out in 2015 and won the battle for Varby. Maykil packed his bags and settled in Västerås. But the feud was far from over. On the 28th of January 2017, a man named Regen Raza was taken out. He was considered to be Chihab's chauffeur and was an aspiring kickboxer. In a desperate attempt, Chihab and Hamo Budagian brought him to the hospital, but it was already too late. It was immediately suspected that Maykil was behind this hit. Retaliation followed shortly after when the suspected shooter of Regen was taken out himself on the 1st of February 2017. The man was named Oliver. The suspects were Rodi Selik and Peyman Chehab. According to the police reports, it remains unclear whether this had to do with Chihab and Maykil or if this was related to something else. The opinions vary on this incident. Then something devastating happened on the 21st of October 2018. In the evening, Cheyenne and his cousin Dia visited a restaurant to eat, talk, and have a good time with each other. 22-year-old Cheyenne studied to become a teacher and worked at a pharmacy. He aspired to help the local youth stay on track and out of criminality. Cheyenne had to work the next day, so they decided to leave the restaurant at around 11 p.m. Suddenly, a man on a scooter drove past and opened fire. Cheyenne was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. After further investigation, police confirmed that Cheyenne was not the intended target. He had nothing to do with any criminality, he just happened to look similar to the man they were really after, a man named Ahmed. This was later discussed via Snapchat by someone involved. The police found the scooter and the weapon used during the attack and linked these to Varby network member Khamo Budagian. He was sentenced to 18 years in prison. Just 3 weeks later, the job was finished after all. Ahmed was taken out while he was sat in a car with someone else. Both men did not survive. The other man was not part of the feud and most likely just became collateral damage for the shooter. Tensions between Chihab and Maykil kept rising after every attack. Fast forward to August 2019, Monir, an associate of Maykil, got severely beat up. He told police that the suspects were Chihab and his brother Shuaib. However, police had to stop their investigation as Monir did not want to cooperate any longer. Just a day later, Monir and Maykil were arrested after a short police chase. Upon investigation of the car, their GPS revealed that the two were headed to Varby and had items in the car that indicated preparations for a violent crime, most likely targeted towards Chihab and his network. The attack may have been prevented at that moment, but at the far end of October, 2 associates of Chihab were fired at. No one got hurt, but they all knew where it was coming from. You can probably guess what will come next. It led to the retaliation from Chihab's side. On the 29th of November, Monir Jaffer and one other person were shot at while they were driving in their car around 8 p.m. that evening. They attempted to drive off, but eventually crashed into a tree. Monir and the other man were severely injured. At this point, it seems like it will never end. Well, I can tell you, it will only get worse from here. After the incident, police conducted a thorough investigation on the crime scene. That same evening, police arrested 7 young men on the suspicion of being involved in the hit some way or another. A resident photographed 2 out of the 7 men who were allegedly directly involved in the hit. They were just 16 and 17 years old. It had gone blow for blow for a while now in this feud, yet both of the leaders remained unharmed. On the 18th of January 2020, Chihab ordered for it to be finally over. He wanted Maykil gone for good. Maykil was sat in a car with his girlfriend and a friend of his near a gas station when, out of nowhere, a car with 2 men drove up and started firing. After firing 26 shots, the car drove off at a high speed, fleeing the scene. Was this the end? Was there finally a winner after all the attacks going back and forth? Well, instead of striking their intended target, the men hit everything but Maykil. His friend did not survive the attack and the girlfriend was seriously injured. Shortly after the incident, Jonas El Kurari was arrested, though it was determined that he was only the driver. He still got sentenced to 17 years and 10 months. Word on the street was that both men were so obsessed with eliminating each other that it became their most important goal. Chihab made it harder for Maykil by moving abroad to Spain in January 2020, though it wasn't over yet. A very quick message: I've been getting a lot of comments saying that my channel is really underrated. I did some digging and noticed that only 15.1% of all viewers are subscribed. I really hate to ask, but if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel and help me towards my dream of 100,000 subscribers. It takes a second and immensely helps the channel and allows me to keep on posting these high quality videos for you to enjoy. Let's get back into it. In the summer of 2020, Swedish police raided a money exchange office called World Exchange in Södermalm, Stockholm. 15 million krona, approximately 1.3 million euros, was found hidden in several places in large duffel bags. It took a sniffer dog to find everything. That's how good it was hidden. The owner of the exchange office was a man in his 50s. According to the indictment, he continuously made arrangements for the turnover of cash with representatives of 16 different criminal networks and persons. He preferably communicated via encrypted phones. They estimated that at least 200 million krona, nearly 17 million euros, of illicit earned money went through his hands in the last few years. This investigation started off after serious suspicion about the exchange office being involved in underworld banking. On a sunny day in May 2020, an 18-year-old boy entered the World Exchange office. He was there to pick up a large amount of money. After he received the money from the owner, he exited the office and left the area. What he didn't know was that the police filmed the meeting with a hidden camera from across the street. They identified the 18-year-old as a soldier of Chihab Lamouri. Just like that, Chihab Lamouri and his network appeared on the radar as an organization that gladly used the exchange office. Further investigation showed that he frequently used the exchange office to deposit and withdraw money, launder his money, and send his money to countries such as Morocco and Tunisia. On the 1st of August 2020, disaster would strike again. At almost 11 PM, Maykil's associate Benjamin Mahdi sent a message to Maykil that he had seen two members of the Vårby network in the city centre of Stockholm. They proceeded to communicate about whether there was enough time to bring weapons before the two members could potentially leave. The men chat back and forth and agree that this could be a great opportunity to dish out an attack. They decided to go through with their plans. Just past midnight, Maykil, Benjamin and Hassan met up. Meanwhile, the Varby network members arrived at the McDonald's in Norsborg for a quick stop. Maykil, Benjamin and Hassan drove to the McDonald's in a white Audi with false number plates, unaware that the three Varby network members had just left. There were only two other men left who were part of another criminal group that were allies of the Varby network. A hail of bullets is fired from the Audi onto the unsuspecting targets. They managed to survive the brazen attack, though this was not the case for a 12-year-old Adriana. She was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Meanwhile, Maykil, Benjamin and Hassan got rid of the Audi and their weapons, but there was still enough evidence to have them arrested, such as PGP messages and the clip of Maykil in the same Audi pointing firearms. This incident shocked Sweden. All three men got life sentences. Would this horrific incident finally be the end of this feud? Well, not directly, but while all this was going on, a worldwide police task force managed to obtain access to the encrypted messaging platform EncroChat. After obtaining access, they were able to read each and every message sent by users via their PGP phones. Some of these users were Chihab and his network. Police were able to read all his messages and build a strong case against him. They were aware that Chihab fled abroad to Spain and issued an international arrest warrant. In September 2020, Chihab was arrested. The EncroChat messages really got the ball rolling and led to a ton of arrests. In total, there were 31 people suspected of having leading roles or other connections to the Varby network. It was a rare sighting that so many people of the network were arrested at once. It was celebrated as a very big win by the Swedish police. The case that was built against Chihab and his co-defendants revealed some interesting information. They had used the homes of multiple women for them to stash their weapons and explosives at. One of them was a 68-year-old woman. In her bedroom, police found several firearms, silencers, grenades, and 7 kilos of explosives. In PGP messages, the members of the network openly discussed picking up and delivering weapons to the woman's house. They also used the home of a 25-year-old woman. Her home served as a stash house for drugs. Police were surprised by the coke found in the home as it was of very high quality, with a 97% purity. Chihab paid the woman's rent and expenses to use her home as a stash house. Another 25-year-old woman called Madame by the members also offered her home as a stash house. Police found drugs as well as weapons in her closet. All in all, after a very long trial, Chihab was sentenced to 17 years and 10 months in prison for attempted hits, extortion, kidnapping of a young rapper, endangerment of the public, 3 counts of serious weapons offences, money laundering, and drug smuggling. I can hear you think, wait, what? Kidnapping of a young rapper? Yes. Chihab allegedly ordered the kidnapping of one of Sweden's biggest rappers called Einar in April of 2020. 2 rival rappers, Haval and Yasin, were also involved in the plot. In October of 2021, Einar was taken out. An interesting detail is that a week after the hit, he was scheduled to testify against the Varby network and others. Had Chihab also ordered the hit on him? This case is so extensive and intriguing that it deserves a separate video. All I can say is stay tuned for that one. After Chihab and his network were arrested, Varby seemed to turn back to normal. Like I said, police celebrated their win against the network, though it was only for a short time. New groups have already taken the spots they left behind, and it seems to be for the worse. These groups of young men are said to be more dangerous because they act unorganized and without a thought. For now, Chihab remains behind bars for a long time. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment sharing your thoughts. Also, do not forget to subscribe as I'm nearing 100,000 subscribers.